You today. Thank you for being here this morning. Welcome, welcome. Boy, it feels like fall today, doesn't it? Yeah. I'm glad to see you. We are going to open this morning with some great hymn singing. I love these songs. We're going to start with number 406. 406 is a hymn that you know well. It's called The Solid Rock. It says, "My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. On Christ the solid rock I stand. All other ground is sinking sand." Yeah, we put our faith in Jesus. All right, let's sing it together. Number 406. We'll sing the first. You know what? We're going to sing all four just because they're so good. 406. Hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly lean on Jesus' name. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand. When darkness seems to hide his face, I rest on his unchanging grace. In every high and stormy gale, my anchor holds within the veil. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand. His oath, his covenant, his blood support me in the whelming flood. All around my soul gives way, he then is all my hope and stay. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand. Shall come with trumpet sound, oh, may I then in him be found, dressed in his righteousness alone, faultless to stand before the throne. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand. Oh, aren't you thankful for the solid foundation that Jesus is? We build our lives on him. We can trust every word that he has given us. He is trustworthy and faithful. I love this next hymn. It's number 295. It's called Near to the Heart of God. Cleland McAfee was the hymn writer there, and he wrote this hymn. He was a pastor at a church, and a family in his church was diagnosed with a very serious illness, and they had to be. This was back in a previous century, and they had to be quarantined. We understand a little about quarantine after the last few years we've been through, right? They had to be quarantined because they just could not spread this to the other members of the community. And so he wrote this poem, Near to the Heart of God, for them, and stood outside the house. This is how the story goes. Stood outside the house at a distance and sang to them this song through the window there. Can you imagine? Wow, what a loving act on the part of their pastor to care for them so much. So here it is, great hymn, Near to the Heart of God, 295. There is a place of quiet rest. There is a place of quiet rest near to the heart of God, a place where sin cannot molest, near to the heart of God. Oh, Jesus, blessed Redeemer, sent from the heart of God, hold us who wait before thee, near to the heart of God. There is a place of comfort sweet, near to the heart of God, a place where we our Savior meet, near to the heart of God. Oh, Jesus, blessed Redeemer, sent from the heart of God, hold us who wait before thee, near to the heart of God. There is a place of full release, near to the heart of God, a place where all is joy and peace, near to the heart of God. Oh, Jesus, blessed Redeemer, sent from the heart of God, hold us who wait before thee, near to the heart of God. I love that picture of that image of that pastor singing that to that family who was in such deep distress, just reminding them that even though they might feel alone, they were not alone because the Lord was with them. They were near to his heart. I love that. Let's sing one more together. It's number 409, another favorite. Oh, the deep, deep love of Jesus. You know, I don't know about you, but it makes me want to love the Lord more when I remember how much he loves us. You know, 1 John says that we love him because he loved us first. So let's sing the first and last here, 409, Oh, the deep, deep love of Jesus. Oh, the deep, deep love of Jesus, vast, unmeasured, boundless, free, rolling as a mighty ocean in its fullness over me, underneath me, all around me, is the current of thy love, leading onward, leading homeward to my glorious rest above. Oh, the deep, deep love of Jesus, love of every love the best. 'Tis an ocean full of blessing, 'tis a haven sweet of rest. Oh, the deep, deep love of Jesus, 'tis a heaven of heavens to me, and it lifts me up to glory, for it lifts me up to thee. Oh, good, good, very good. I love that song. Well, before Brother Jim comes, I want to share, and he is here. I know you're all wondering, is he going to descend from the attic? No, he's standing in the back. We'll explain briefly in a moment where he's been. But before he comes, I just want to share with you a song. Think of this as like we used to say in my home church, it's a spatial. This is an encouraging song to me. It's one of my favorite that's not in the hymnal. It's by an artist that I really love and has been influential in my Christian walk. This guy named Stephen Curtis Chapman. I don't know if you've heard of him before, but this is an old song by him that just means a lot to me. It's called My Redeemer is Faithful and True. As I look back on this road I've traveled, I've seen so many times He's carried me through. But if there's one thing that I've learned in my life, my Redeemer is faithful and true. My Redeemer is faithful and true. And everything He has said He will do. And every morning His mercies are new. My Redeemer is faithful and true. My heart rejoices when I read the promise. There is a place that I'm preparing for you. I know someday I'll see my Lord face to face, for my Redeemer is faithful and true. My Redeemer is faithful and true. And everything He has said He will do. And every morning His mercies are new. My Redeemer is faithful and true. And in every situation He has proved His love for me. When I lack the understanding, He gives more grace to me. For my Redeemer is faithful and true. And everything He has said He will do. And every morning His mercies are new. My Redeemer is faithful and true. Yes, Jesus is faithful and true. God bless you. Thank you for letting me share that with you. Well, I want to introduce a man who needs no introduction. Let me tell you what our pastor's been doing today. What a great guy he is. He's just come. I mean, the wheels of the car are probably smoking right now. But he's just come from Moorville Middle School, where he's been speaking to the FCA twice. Yeah, that's right. So this man is a jack of all trades, you know what I'm saying? He just kind of Swiss Army knife of ministry can do it all. So we appreciate Brother Jim. Now, as he's hooking up his mic, let's look at a couple of announcements here on the back of your Senior Adult Saints Alive guide. Because I want to let you know some special things that are happening. Now, this is one of my favorite days of the year. I love it, man. Our Senior Adult Appreciation Banquet is going to be on Thursday, November 20th. Now, look, if you're a calendar keeper, I want you to get out your calendar and circle that date, okay? Because we want to see you all, and we want you to bring somebody with you. Now, there's a lot of senior adults that we have in our church, some of whom aren't able to be here on Wednesday morning just because of different stuff. Reach out to them, please. And we want a big crowd here, okay? Because not only are we going to have a great meal together, we've got this thing is catered, and it's going to be fantabulous. We had this new caterer, and she did our worship ministry banquet that we did back a few months ago in August, and 2 thumbs up. I mean, really great. So the meal's going to be awesome, but then also the ICC choir is going to be with us, and listen, they look forward to being here. Okay, they really do. Kyle Davis, their director, we all know Kyle, does a fantastic job with them, and he's bringing. Now, are you ready for this? I said, Kyle, how many are you going to bring with you? He said, oh, there'll be about 80 of us. Awesome. They're not all going to fit in the choir loft. They'll have to do it in shifts. But we're excited they're going to be here, and so I hope you'll be here with us that day. Now, ladies, please note that this Sunday evening at 5 p.m., there's going to be an interest meeting for Ladies D Group. If you were here Sunday, or if you got to catch it online through our Facebook page or YouTube channel, you heard testimonies about the impact that God's making through D groups in our church. And the ladies D group, there is an interest meeting. If you would like to be a part of a D group coming up this next year, you're going to want to come to this. They're going to give you all the information, tell you where to be when and how to sign up and all those good things. That interest meeting is this Sunday at 5 p.m. in the loft. Now, that's our kind of nickname for the classroom that's above the FLC kitchen right there. It's where Stephen Cantrell has his Sunday school class, life group, and where Brother Jim has Wednesday night Bible study there, okay? All right, one other announcement. We like to eat in the month of November around here. We really do. And so in addition to our senior adult banquet, we've got our church-wide Thanksgiving banquet. That's where everybody gets together on a Sunday, and you can see it's going to be November 23rd. It'll be after the 10:45 service there in the FLC. And boy, what a sweet time that is, just seeing everybody around the tables and getting to visit. We invite you to bring a side dish and a dessert that day. All right, Brother Jim, I think I have announced us almost to death, so I'm going to turn it over to you.
Absolutely. Well, there's a little difference between talking with a 6th grader and talking with y'all. So if I start bouncing around because I'm trying to keep your attention, just know I'm trying to make that transition, that move, this easy. Oh, it's fun time. So we did 6th through 8th grade, so it was a lot of fun. I don't know. There's certain movies that you may be this way. I don't know. There's certain movies that if they come on the TV that you could watch them every single time. It's one that, there's some movies you just kind of watch and say, hey, that was a great movie. You don't ever come back to it. But there's some that you just keep coming back on and you've watched it 100 times because you just love that movie. There's a lot of them for me that I would mention. But there was one that came out in the early 90s called The Fugitive. Harrison Ford was in it, and it was really, really good. I can probably watch that every single time because, Harrison Ford as the fugitive, he's apparently killed his wife, which he didn't do. Somebody else did it. Do you remember who did it? The one-armed man. That's right, the one-armed man. So you got the deputies or the marshals that are after him on one end, and then you've got the bad guys that are wanting to take him out because he survived, and he's trying to figure it out while running for his life, and so they called him the fugitive. He's on the run constantly. Well, I remembered that, and I thought about that. That's really where we find David. David's the fugitive. David is the guy that is running for his life. And on one end, he's trying to figure out what he's done because he feels like he's the innocent man. On the other side, you've got Saul and all his cohorts that are after him to take him out. Then you've got all his allies, or those who would consider to be his allies, who are just one by one pulling away from him. And it's not necessarily because they don't believe in who he is. It's just because of danger to their own life, or just the sense that it's just not convenient because David is running. He's alone. He's all alone. And so as you can just imagine with David, he is feeling incredible pressure. He's feeling incredible pressure because on one side he's supposed to be this guy that's has a heart for God, which he is, but he's everything is being pulled out from under him. Everything he knows is uncertain, and pressure like crazy is overwhelming him. And I guess that's the bottom line, is he feels very overwhelmed. I wonder how we, and I don't really not asking for personal testimonies here, though I think we could all have one, of how you deal when you deal with life when you feel overwhelmed. How do you deal with it when life becomes really, really hard? How do you respond to that when it just seems like it's just that pressure that keeps on you and keeps on you and keeps on you and never seems to let up? How do you respond to that? We know what we're supposed to. In our Sunday school answer, we know what we're supposed to do is just trust in the Lord and all will be well. And yet, when those times come, maybe we have a spiritual amnesia. Maybe we just tend to we revert back to flesh. We have those moments to where our weakness just overwhelms us. I look at this with David today, and I don't want to cast stones at him because it'd be real easy to look at this and go, David. And yet, until I look at my own life and I go, Jim, because I'm just right there. And I go, man, how often I've reverted to doing the very things that we see David doing right here. Is David still a man after on God's own heart? Absolutely he is. But he's having one of those, and I love the Bible because it tells us real life stuff, that sometimes when pressure overwhelms us and life gets really hard, sometimes we just revert to flesh, and we need to come back to God quickly. So I want us to look at this, 1 Samuel chapter 21. And I want to look at this and kind of see where we are. If you remember kind of just the bottom line of where we've been, that David has just come off talking with his great friend, Jonathan. And Jonathan thought he could go to his dad and make things right again. But when he goes to his dad this time, he finds out once and for all that his dad really got it in for David. He's going to try to kill him. And that's just the bottom line. He's going to kill him. There's nothing. His whole life, his whole focus is not about the Lord. It's not about Israel. It's not about the army. It's not about anything of what is supposed to be. King's most focus in his life is to kill David. And so Jonathan comes to David and tells him, hey, it's going to happen. He's going to come after you, so you got to run. And so David takes off and he runs. Well, let's see what happens and where he goes. And so as normal, y'all talk to me a little bit about what you see. But I want us to see where did David, how did he respond to this pressure? How did he respond to this overwhelmed feeling? And how we can avoid doing what he did. All right, so look at what it says, verse 1 of chapter 21. Now David went to Ahimelech, the priest at Nob. And Ahimelech was afraid to meet David, so he said to him, why are you alone, and no one is with you? Now why do you think Ahimelech, a priest, a godly priest, would be afraid of David? Why would he be, well, let's just put it this way. Why would he be fearful when David comes up on the scene? Why do you think? I don't think he does. I don't think he knows any of the what's going on between him and Saul. But he knows David. He knows who he is. He knows he's this mighty man that's been in these battles and fought well. And I think there's a number of things that come out to him immediately. Ahimelech is going, okay, number one, why is he all by himself? Why is he there? Why is nobody with him? Why does he look very disheveled and overwhelmed and tired and weary and all this stuff? Okay, what's going on? So there was a little fear of the unknown of what David might be doing. What do we see David doing that his immediate response to pressure caused him to do? Lie. He's about to. He's exactly what he's about to do. But what is the first thing he's done? When he comes to Jonathan and Jonathan says, Dad is coming after you, what does David do? He runs. He flees. He's running for his life. And you kind of go, okay, sometimes when pressure hits us, our first response is to run. Is to get out of there. It's when we feel overwhelmed with life, we want to run. What are we running from when we do that? Or what do we think we're running from? We think we're trying to run from the worst thing that might happen as a result, so we're trying to get out of there. You've heard some people try to run from their problems. You know, they may run from here, and then when they run to go there, what do they find waiting on them? The same problem. Yeah. So it's like you can't run away from it. But David's first thought is, I got to get out of here. I got to run. And so he flees. And you know, here's one of those moments you think, David, you know, obviously putting ourselves in that kind of situation, we understand. Here's a guy that's just running for his life because he's tried to stick around. He's tried to do the right thing. He's tried to go back into there with Saul and make things right. But every step of the way, he's being pursued. And so we can't blame him for running for his life here, but it's one of the responses that we often do is instead of dealing with that issue that we're facing, instead of dealing with the pressure and dealing with what's happening here, we just try to get away from it. So we think leaving this problem, we're going to be able to run away from it. It always follows us. And it's going to be the same way. Saul is going to continue to pursue him. No matter where David goes, we're going to see all the way to the very end of this book of 1 Samuel, Saul is always one step behind him, always close behind him. And so no matter where David runs, the problem continues to follow. And that's obviously what happens to us as well. So David runs. Now, it's not a bad place he runs to. He runs to Ahimelech, the priest. But look at what he says, and Bill, here's where it is in verse 2. So David answered Ahimelech when he asked him, why are you alone and no one is with you? And David answered Ahimelech, the king gave me a mission, but he told me, don't let anyone know anything about the mission I'm sending you on or what I have ordered you to do. I've stationed my young men at a certain place. Now, what do you have on hand? All right, so what has David just done? He's lied. What has he lied about? What's that? Having young men with him? There's nobody with him. It's just David by himself. What else has he lied about? That he's on a mission, secret mission from the king. What would compel David to lie? Why do you think he would lie in this situation? You know, it's funny because when he went to Samuel before, it said that he told him everything that was going on. He just laid everything out. So why here would David resort to lying to Ahimelech? Maybe it was a protective of self. Maybe there was a part of that to where he was going, okay, King Saul is still in power. If I continue to make myself out as a man that's still close to him, I can get what I need. You know, he's using this lie to try to get what he wants and what he needs at this particular point. Why else do you think he would lie? Let's just put it this way. Why do we lie when we really don't need to? We just really don't want to. We just don't want to tell. We just don't want to tell the truth in the situation and what's just happened. And maybe David doesn't want to come up and tell Ahimelech, listen, Saul's after me. He wants to kill me. Maybe puts Ahimelech in a bad place. But I want to tell you, this lie is going to come back to haunt him, and it's going to haunt a lot of what's there. But we don't see it immediate, but it's always going to. Listen, lies. You know, let me ask you this. We know the obvious answer to this, other than it's against God. But why is lying such a bad response? It always does, doesn't it? It always gets you in trouble every single time, because when you lie, what do you have to remember? You have to remember your lie, and then you have to lie to remember to tell that. I mean, it goes one on top of the other. It always seems the easy way out. If I just lie, I'll get out of this. If I just lie, don't tell the truth, I can slip out of this. It feels a stronghold, and yet it always seems to tighten its grip on us every single time. It's really why Satan is called the father of lies, isn't he? He's called that because when we lie, we're just walking in step with what the enemy wants. And so lying is never the right response. Now again, maybe I'll give David the best benefit of the doubt that he did not want to bring Ahimelech into harm's way. So if I lie to him, it doesn't make him accountable to what's really going on in my life. But we can't let him off that easy, because what's happening here is David is really being very selfish and self-focused here. He's going, I got to lie so I can get what I need and get out of here. And he's using this priest, this godly man, and he's taking advantage of him to get what he wants. Lying, what it does is it centers everything around who? Me. And it's all about me. I don't care what happens to you. I don't care how the consequence may come on you. It's all about me, and it's about getting myself out of this. And so David comes before him and just lies. He says, Saul sent me on a secret mission. Look at what he says here. He said, Saul said, don't let anyone know anything about the mission I'm sending you on. That's weird, isn't it? What did he just tell Ahimelech about the mission? He just went on. He was like, you just told me that. Saul said, don't tell me. Why are you telling me what Saul? And so it just keeps going deeper and deeper. And so he just lies there. But look at the last part of verse 3. He said, now what do you have on hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread, or whatever can be found. And so what is David wanting? He's wanting food. He's on the run. He is famished probably. He's running for his life. He has nothing to eat. He's going to a place that he believes will welcome him in. He's a man that loves the Lord. Here's a bunch of guys, these priests who love the Lord. And so that's where he's going. And he's getting them in trouble, but he's saying at least maybe they'll give me something to eat. But what's the priest's response? He says the priest told him there's no ordinary bread on hand. However, there is consecrated bread, but the young men may eat it only if they've kept themselves from women. What is he talking about, consecrated bread? It's the holy. This is sacred bread. It's the bread of presence. It's the bread that's put in there that there's usually 12 loaves, and so it's representative of all the 12 tribes, but it's given there in the holy of holies, or in that little area of the temple, and it's a very sacred bread there that's brought before them, and so he just comes in and Ahimelech says, okay, I've got bread for you. It's the consecrated bread, but we're about to change it out so you can have it. It's interesting here that what that bread represents is the bread of what? Presence. And what David should have seen, maybe just a little sign from God to him, was what? I'm with you. I'm present. I'm still with you, David. And yet David, because of his running for his life, because of the pressure, and this is what happens to us, and I want you to hear this. What happens to us so often when pressure and the overwhelming life comes on us and presses in on us is we miss those signs from God, those moments to where He wants to remind us about His goodness. And so the Word of God just flies away. It doesn't hold us in its grasp. It doesn't provide that strong foundation for us because we're not looking to that. All these things that God is throwing at us as grace moments to say, I'm with you. I'm not running away from you. What happens is we just don't even see them. We don't even see them. Sometimes it's another person coming up to us and saying, hey, I'm praying for you. But we just don't think about anything. So David missed the obvious sign from God right here. All right, so he gets the bread. Now, is anything interesting about him asking for 5 loaves? Does that take you to anything in particular? Yeah, he fed with what, 5 loaves and 2 fishes? You know, it's is that how you say it? 2 fishes, 2 fishes, 2 fish. 2 fish, fish plural, fish plural. Okay, but yeah, so it's one of those to where it's just a reminder. So Jesus is actually going to come back at this moment many years later, and they're going to get on to Jesus because they're on the Sabbath. The disciples are rubbing grain and they're eating, and the Pharisees going to say, "How come they do that? How come they do that?" And Jesus brings them back to what Ahimelech did with that sacred bread to David. So David gets the food, and so verse 5. They say, hey, if young men can have the food, if they've kept themselves from women, this is a sacred part of that. And verse 5 says, so David answered him, I swear that women are being kept from us. And here again, he's lying. As always, when I go out to battle, the young men's bodies are consecrated even on an ordinary mission. So, of course, their bodies are consecrated today. He just keeps himself getting deeper and deeper and deeper. So the priest gave him the consecrated bread, for there was no bread there except the bread of the presence that had been removed from the presence of the Lord. When the bread was removed, it had been replaced with warm bread. Now, verse 7 is something we're going to come back to. But I want you to notice what happens, because this is another thing that happens. It's another response that happens when we allow the pressure and the overwhelming part of life to press on us. Verse 7 says this, now one of Saul's servants detained before the Lord was there that day. His name was Doeg, the Edomite, chief of Saul's shepherds. Now at that point, the story moves on. But it's just like a little pin that the writer of this book says, let's pin this. We're going to come back to it later. And so we just kind of run through that and kind of go, okay, this guy, an Edomite named Doeg, is there. What's the big deal? And we just kind of rush on through the next thing. But I want to tell you this, and we're going to see him come up into play in the next chapter. But I want to tell you something else that happens to us when we allow pressure and the overwhelming part of life to get our eyes off of God and we start noticing all this stuff, is that we miss the warning signs. We miss the warning signs. Because there's a lot of times I believe that what God does is, yes, he sends grace moments to remind us, hey, my presence is with you, bread of presence, my presence is with you, the word of God, the promises, I'm with you, I will never forsake you. And so we miss the grace signs, but we also miss the warning signs. And when the pressure comes on us, we don't see where God is telling us, you better be careful. You better not walk there. You better not do this. You ought not do this, because it's going to take you deeper and deeper and further away from me rather than where you're meant to be and running toward me. And so when the pressure mounts and the overwhelming of life gets us, we miss those obvious danger signs that I think are grace, God's grace to us. Because he's saying, it's like the sign that says the bridge is out when you're driving. So what do? That don't apply to me. You ain't going to tell me the bridge is out and you just keep on driving. What's going to happen? You're going over the side. And so sometimes God says, because I love you, I'm going to throw a warning sign out there. This is my warning, that if you continue in this way, if you continue walking in this way, if you continue to allow this pressure and this stuff and not look to me, this is going to be this is what's going to happen. And so Doeg is the warning sign. We're going to find out later that not only did Doeg notice David, but guess what? David noticed him there too. And he did nothing about it. Verse 8. And so David said to Ahimelech, do you have a spear or a sword on hand? I didn't even bring my sword or my weapon since the king's mission was so urgent. David. He's like, I got out of there so fast, man, I left my wallet. Man, do you have some money? I left my wallet. I was in such a hurry doing the Lord's business, that kind of stuff. And so David runs out. What's he asking Ahimelech for? He's asking for a sword. He's asking for, and so in other words, what is he wanting? He's wanting something to protect himself. Do it. Say it again. Yeah, weapon to protect himself. Now listen, we can't blame David for wanting a sword. I mean, he's got to have some kind of weapon because he's on the run for his life. He's got people coming after him. But is he going to fight everybody? Is he going to take the whole army on one man against everybody? He's not. But he feels like if I have a sword, I can protect myself. But in essence, what is he saying? Who is he not asking protection from anymore? Yeah. When he went up before Goliath, Goliath comes in armored up, sword, shield, and on top of that, he's got an armor bearer with him. David comes against a guy that's fully armed for battle. What does David have? A little pouch, a few rocks, and a sling. come to you in the name of the Lord, and the battle is the Lord's. And here David is to where he comes and he says, I just need a sword. I just need to protect myself. We don't blame him for wanting a weapon. I get it, David. You just want something there. But what in essence, what he's saying is, I can't trust God. I got to take care of myself. I got to take care of myself. Now, he didn't verbalize that, but that's what's going on here. He's saying, I've got to take care of me. His lies, all these things that have said, is his response to the pressure of this moment getting on him. Again, I'm not throwing stones at David. I would probably do the same exact thing. So I understand where he's going. I'm just saying David's a picture of what we can't do. Is that saying, you know what, I'm going to protect me. If all this pressure is coming on me, I'm protecting me. You're on your own. You just got to do what you got to do, but I'm protecting me. And so David asked for a sword. Well, it just so happens that Ahimelech has a sword. Look at what happens here. It says this in verse 9. And the priest replied, the sword of Goliath, the Philistine, whom you killed in the valley of Elah, is here, wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. If you want to take it for yourself, then take it. There isn't another one here. And David said, there's none like it. Give it to me. What did that, isn't it interesting? Isn't it such a coincidence that the sword of Goliath was right there? David had no idea. How did it make its way from when he chopped off Goliath's head, it made its way right here? What do you think the sword of Goliath should have represented to David? The Lord, number one, that the Lord was with him in that battle. What else? Say it. Huh? He was going to protect him every step of the way. And there maybe is one other thing, victory. Victory. You know, this was going to should have represented to David. It should have been a loud, clear sign. David, remember when you were on the battlefield and I was there with you, and this sword should remind you of that victorious moment when the name of the Lord was glorified. David forgot. And so David got a hold. And see, oftentimes when it comes down to it, we get so self-focused that our response to those pressure moments is, hey, I'm taking care of me. I'm taking care of me. I don't care what happens to you guys, but I'm taking care of me. And David was in that mode at that point, so he asked for the sword. So what happens? He takes the sword. But I want to look at this last part because really everything, I will tell you this, and this is kind of it's kind of like a big finish here of David being away from God here at this moment. Sometimes when that overwhelming feeling and pressure gets us, we get so far away from the promises and who God is that we would just do things that just make no sense. It's almost like insanity. There's this insanity away from God, and because we're not in our right mind. We're not thinking godly. We're not thinking about His promises. We're not thinking about the goodness of God. We're not thinking about His grace. We're not thinking about the victory that Christ has given us. We don't think about any of that. We become this practical atheist that becomes all about just, I'm responding to the moment. Look at what happens here, and then we'll go through it. Look at verse 10. David fled that day from Saul's presence and went to King Achish of Gath. All right, now, think about this. David has Goliath's sword in his hand, and he goes to Gath. Who was from Gath? Goliath. I don't know about you, but it's probably not the best place to go to. It's probably not the best place to go to where you're swinging Goliath's sword and you're going to his hometown and everybody go, hey, that sword looks familiar. Wasn't that Goliath, the guy that lived just down the street? Wasn't that Goliath's sword? And isn't that David that killed him? See how David's not even thinking right. Here's David swinging Goliath's sword, just kind of going down the city. In Gath, he's not even thinking right. It's what happens when the pressure gets so strong on us and we're not thinking about the promises of God. We start doing these things that almost seem insane. It's like, you as a follower of Christ, that's the way you're responding to this? You as someone who claims to be a disciple of the Lord, and this is the way you're walking? See, that's what happens sometimes. And so he's in Gath, and look at what happens here. Verse 11, but Achish's servants said to him, isn't this David? They go to the king and say, now wait a minute, isn't that David, the king of the land? Don't they sing about him during their dances? Saul has killed his thousands, but David his tenth of thousands? Hey, this was a top 40 hit. Casey Kasem was on this was top 40. David's song had made its way all the way to the Philistine territory. And instead of it being a song of adoration, it was now a song of what? Derision, of threat, of, isn't that the guy that they've sung about that has killed many of us? See, it's crazy. David has moved from walking very closely with God to where now he's doing these things that you're thinking, David, what are you thinking? What in the world are you thinking? You're going right in the hornet's nest. You're going right there, and it's not to try to stir up things in order to fight. You're trying to escape, and this is where it's brought you. And so David thought he could find peace among the Philistines. Isn't that crazy? He's trying to find peace everywhere instead of the one who is the Prince of Peace. And so he's trying to find peace, and he goes to the Philistines. And so sure enough, what happens here? And so they say, wait, what? Don't you remember that song about David? And so verse 12, so David took this to heart, and he became very afraid of King Achish of Gath. Now, we're not going to take time to do this, but there are two psalms that stand out. Psalm 56 gives us a little insight to what's going on here. So David, it feels like David was captured by them. So once they looked and they realized, they went, that man is not coming up in here in our town doing this. And so they capture him, and so he pins Psalm 56 maybe later, but he pins Psalm 56. So they kept him captive, and look at verse 13. So he pretended to be what? Mad, insane, crazy. He pretends to be crazy. How far can you fall? How far can you fall? You know, if there was ever a moment that you'd kind of go, man, he has hit rock bottom. I don't even know if David realized it. But David goes, get the picture. Just 2 chapters ago, he has just led thousands of men on a battle to kill all these Philistines. He's walking down the middle of the street of Israel. It's lined with these women that are going, ooh, David. Saul, he killed his thousands, but David, and he is the man. He is the big man on campus. He is the guy that they have elevated. Look at that handsome David. Man, anybody be lucky to have. And so he is just coming. He is from here, and now look what he's doing. In captivity, he's pretending to be insane. And what does that look like? Look at what it said. And he acted like a madman around them, scribbling on the doors. Another translation made drumming on the door, on the doors of the gate, letting saliva run down his beard. He's just letting it just come down. He's just acting like a nut. He's acting crazy. It's so what happens when we don't turn our eyes back to God. We start doing things that just are not worthy of what a Christ follower should be. And we start walking this road, and people don't even recognize us anymore. They're like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? And in our own mind, the pressure and the overwhelming of life has brought us to a point that we're not even thinking. We're just trying to survive. We're just trying to do the best that we can. And we're doing all these trying to survival things that we're trying to hold on to that are our security, that we think are our security blankets, instead of holding on to God. And so here we've gone totally unrecognizable to what a disciple of Christ should be about. Well, Achish, to his credit, look what he responds. He says, "Look, you can see that this man is crazy," he said to his servants. "Why did you bring him to me? Do I have such a shortage of crazy people that you brought this one to act crazy around me? In other words, I'm surrounded with crazy. I don't need another crazy." And so they said, "Is this the one going to come into my house?" And so he sends him away. It makes no sense for a man after God's own heart to be this way. I want you to turn back as we close. I want you to, go forward to Psalm 34. Psalm 34. Let me just show you one thing before we close out. My heading of Psalm 34 says this: concerning David when he pretended to be what? Insane in the presence of Abimelech, who drove him out, and he departed. Abimelech or Achish, probably Achish, king of Gath is what he's talking about here. Look what David will write later. This is when he comes to his right mind. And I think he's probably remembering all that just had happened. This is why he is called a man after God's own heart. Look what he says. "I will praise the Lord at all times. His praise will always be on my lips. I will boast in the Lord. The humble will hear and be glad. Proclaim Yahweh's greatness with me. Let us exalt his name together. I sought the Lord, and he answered me. He delivered me from all my fears. Those who look to him are radiant with joy. Their faces will never be ashamed." This poor man cried. The Lord heard him, saved him from all his troubles. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and rescues him. Taste and see that the Lord is good. How happy is the man who takes refuge in him. You who are his holy ones, fear Yahweh. For those who fear him lack nothing. Young lions lack food and go hungry, but those who seek the Lord will not lack any good thing. And I want you to look over in verse 15. The eyes of the Lord are on the righteous. His ears are open to their cry for help. The face of the Lord is set against those who do what is evil, to erase all memory of them from the earth. Verse 17. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears, delivers them from all their troubles. The Lord is near the brokenhearted. He saves those crushed in spirit. What did David realize when this was all over, this episode was over? Because every single direction David chose to go was wrong. And the pressure and the overwhelming situation that he was in, listen, we get it. We've all been there. We've had those moments to where life, the doors and the walls were just coming in on us, and we felt like we're going to get crushed. And so we understand, and yet David, every step of the way, was walking into more and more trouble. What did he realize? Reading Psalm 34, what did he realize when it was all said and done? Every step of the way, the Lord was with him. Every step of the way. He didn't have to do this. He didn't have to walk these ways. I think it was because as you see from here on out, it changed David. This moment did. Chapter 21 is a dark moment in David's life. We've seen a lot of dark moments of him running from it for his life, but we see at this moment to where David just went flesh mode and went totally about, I'm trying to protect me, and I'll do whatever I have to. If I have to lie, whatever I got to do is survival. But at the end of the day, he looked back and said, God, he was with me every step of the way. And his heart, and he hears me when I cry out to him. If we can remember one thing through this, is that when life overwhelms us, God sees it. He knows. God doesn't run from us. As a matter of fact, he runs to us. And so when life overwhelms you, man, you have a God that has not abandoned you. It's a God that draws ever nearer. It's a beautiful picture, and David would remember that from that moment. Would you pray with me? Father, we are just so thankful for your great word to us. Thank you for reminding us. Father, forgive us those times where we turn into these practical atheists, where we run away from you even though we know what's true. So, Father, I pray, God, that we will find ourselves running closer to you, because when we do that, Lord, we find a God who has never left us, a God who's walked with us every step of the way. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for your grace and mercy. And Jesus, thank you for dying for us so that we might have hope. For we ask in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Brother Jim. Appreciate that. Well, God bless you. Those of you who've been with us online, I hope that you have a great day, and we will see you next Wednesday.